The cargo hold smelled like burnt metal and fear. Riley gripped the edge of the supply crate as another explosion rocked the station outside. Through the viewport, 3 Draxian warships circled the neutral trading post like predators around wounded prey. Their weapons charged with that distinct purple glow that meant someone was about to die. "They'll breach the docking bay in minutes," the Quillen merchant beside Riley whispered. His 4 eyes blinked in different patterns, the way his species showed terror. "We should have left when we had the chance." Riley had heard the warnings. Every trader passing through the disputed reaches carried the same stories lately. Ships vanishing, stations going dark, the Draxian hegemony expanding their territory with brutal efficiency and nobody willing to stop them. The galaxy had grown used to looking away from problems that weren't theirs. The station shuddered again. Somewhere down the corridor, someone screamed. Then the lights went out. Emergency systems kicked in after 3 long seconds, bathing everything in red. Riley's communicator crackled with dozens of panicked voices talking over each other. But one transmission cut through the chaos, calm and clear. "All Draxian vessels, you have 15 seconds to withdraw from this station." The voice wasn't human, wasn't alien. It carried a weight that made Riley's chest feel tight. Like standing too close to a fusion reactor, that sense of barely contained power. The Quillen merchant grabbed Riley's arm with trembling hands. "That's impossible. That's not possible." What is it?" That voice, the merchant's eyes went wide. "That's the silent executioner, that's the midnight fortress, that's..." The station's hull groaned, not from weapon impacts this time, from something massive passing too close. Riley rushed to the viewport and looked out into the black. At first there was nothing, just stars and the Draxian ship still circling. Then the stars disappeared, not from debris or smoke. Something enormous had moved in front of them, blocking out the light from a dozen suns. The shape took form slowly, angular, brutal, a wedge of dark metal that seemed to drink in the surrounding light rather than reflect it. The ship dwarfed the Draxian warships the way a whale dwarfed minnows. Riley tried to estimate its size and gave up. Nothing that large should exist. Nothing that large should move. But it did. Move, sliding through space with impossible grace for something so massive. No engine glow, no heat signature. It simply was there, and every instinct Riley possessed screamed to run. "This is your final warning," that voice said again. "Withdraw or be removed." The Draxian commander's response came sharp and confident. "Unknown vessel, you are outnumbered 3-1, stand down or..." What happened next lasted maybe 5 seconds. Riley would remember it for the rest of their life. The dark ship didn't fire weapons. It did something worse. Space itself seemed to bend around it. The nearest Draxian warship crumpled inward like paper in a fist, crushed by forces Riley couldn't see. The vessel imploded so fast its shields never even activated. One moment it was there. The next, just a sphere of compressed metal and bodies no larger than a shuttle. The second Draxian ship tried to run. It made it maybe 3 kilometers before something invisible grabbed it. The ship stopped mid-flight, engines screaming as they fought against the grip. Then it got pulled backward slowly, inevitably, until it hung right beside the dark vessel. A single beam of white light cut through its command deck. Clean, surgical, the ship went dark. The third Draxian commander was smarter or more cowardly. His ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, so fast Riley felt the gravitational wake through the station's hull. Silence followed, the kind of silence that comes after witnessing something that breaks your understanding of reality. The dark ship rotated slightly, bringing what might have been its bow to face the station. Riley could see markings now. Human letters, words in English though the script looked old, worn by time and battle. "Defiance. Station inhabitants, you are safe," the voice said. "Medical teams are advised to prepare for trauma cases. Repair crews will find structural integrity holding. This area is now under protection." The Quillen merchant collapsed against the crate. "It's real. The stories are real. Terra's ghost ship is real." Riley couldn't look away from the viewport. The ship called Defiance hung there in the black, motionless and terrible. Beautiful in the way a perfect weapon is beautiful. Efficient, purposeful, deadly. "What is it?" Riley asked. "Death," the merchant said. "Death to anyone who threatens humans. 20 years ago, 3 empires tried to conquer Terra, tried to claim human worlds. As their own, they had thousands of ships, superior technology, overwhelming numbers. What happened?" "That happened." The merchant pointed at the Defiance. "One ship, one single human ship appeared and ended the war in 6 weeks. They say it destroyed entire fleets by itself. They say it never takes damage. They say it learns from every battle and grows stronger." He paused. "They say the man who built it died years ago, but the ship still fights, still protects, still hunts anyone who harms humans." Riley watched as the Defiance began to move again, turning away from the station, fading back into the darkness like it had never been there at all. Within seconds, only the crushed wreckage of one Draxian ship remained as proof. "Where's it going?" The merchant laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Wherever it's needed, wherever humans are threatened, the Draxians will spread the word. Another fleet tried, another fleet failed, another warning delivered." Riley made a decision in that moment, a decision that would change everything. "I need to know more. I need to find out what that thing really is." "Then you're insane," the merchant said. "Everyone who goes looking for the Defiance either finds nothing or wishes they had." But Riley was already planning the route, already thinking about where to start. The human territories weren't far. Maybe someone there would talk, maybe someone there knew the truth. In the viewport's reflection, Riley could see their own eyes, bright with curiosity and something like obsession. The hunt had begun. The border checkpoint floated at the edge of human space like a warning sign. Riley's small transport shuttle felt even smaller approaching it. 3 human patrol ships flanked the station, their weapons systems very obviously tracking every incoming vessel. Not aggressive, just ready. A voice came through the communicator, professional, crisp. "Unknown shuttle, please state your business in human territory." "Trade route survey," Riley lied smoothly. "Looking to establish new shipping lanes." "Stand by for inspection." The shuttle bay was cleaner than Riley expected. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy for being chaotic, unpredictable, but everything here ran with military precision. The docking clamps engaged smoothly. The airlock cycled without a hiss. Even the gravity transitioned seamlessly. A human woman waited on the other side, short dark hair. Sharp eyes that missed nothing, the kind of person who had seen violence and learned from it. Her uniform bore no rank insignia, but she carried authority like a second skin. "I'm Bait," she said. "Liaison officer for non-human visitors. You're Riley, yes. Your reputation precedes you. Merchant, explorer, and apparently very curious about things that don't concern merchants." Riley's stomach dropped. "I don't." "You were on Junction Station 4 days ago when the Defiance appeared. You've been asking questions at every port since. Questions about human military capabilities, questions about our fleet strength, questions about a certain ship." Bates smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "So let's skip the part where you pretend to be here for trade routes. What do you really want to know?" The directness caught Riley off guard. Most species danced around sensitive topics. Humans apparently preferred to grab them head-on. "I want to know what it is, the Defiance. I want to understand how one ship can do what I saw it do." Bates studied Riley for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Come with me. If you're going to ask questions, you might as well get real answers." The station's briefing room overlooked the void. Stars stretched in every direction, beautiful and cold. Bate pulled up a holographic display with practiced ease. Images filled the air, ship schematics, battle reports, casualty numbers that made Riley's breath catch. 20 years ago, Bate began, humanity was new to the galactic stage. We just developed faster-than-light travel. We were excited to meet other species, eager to trade, to learn, to join the community out here. Her expression hardened. 3 empires saw easy prey, the Draxian hegemony, the Corvan Pact, the Telvanni Empire. They all decided separately that human colonies would make excellent additions to their territories. The hologram showed fleet movements, hundreds of ships converging on human worlds. They didn't even bother with formal declarations of war, just showed up and started claiming planets, started landing troops, started killing anyone who resisted. Bates' voice stayed level, but Riley could hear the anger underneath. In the first week, we lost 40,000 colonists, men, women, children, entire settlements wiped out. Riley had heard rumors of the human war, but never the details. The galaxy preferred to forget uncomfortable truths. Earth scrambled. Every ship we had, cargo haulers with weapons welded on, mining vessels converted to fighters, we threw everything at them and barely slowed them down. Our technology was generations behind theirs. Our tactics were useless against species who had been waging war for thousands of years. Bate pulled up another image. Then, in week 2, something changed. The hologram showed a single ship, long, dark, dangerous. Project Absolution. That's what the military called it originally. One man built it over 12 years in secret, used technology nobody had seen before, combined human engineering with theories that other species had dismissed as impossible. One man built that? Riley couldn't keep the disbelief from their voice. Owen Sterling, engineer, physicist, and father. Bates' expression softened slightly. His daughter Amy died in the attack on New Perth Colony. He watched it happen over VidLink, watched and couldn't do anything to save her. After that, he disappeared. His wife thought he'd killed himself. The government thought he'd gone insane with grief. Nobody knew he was building the most powerful warship in the galaxy. The hologram shifted to show battle footage. The Defiance moving through space, graceful despite its size. Draxian ships firing everything they had. The weapon's impacts just seemed to make it stronger. The shield technology converts incoming energy into power. The more you shoot it, the stronger it gets. The hull is made of something Owen called reactive alloy. It repairs itself and adapts to different types of damage. Hit it with plasma, it becomes plasma-resistant. Hit it with kinetic rounds, it hardens against impact. Bate laughed without humor. The Corvan Pact tried ramming it with a dreadnought. The dreadnought shattered. The Defiance didn't even slow down. Riley watched the footage in silence. The ship moved like a living thing, anticipating enemy movements, adapting its tactics in real time, destroying targets with surgical precision. The weapon systems scale with threat level. Against small targets, it uses point defense lasers. Against capital ships, it has plasma cannons that burn hotter than stars. Against fleets, it has something Owen called graviton disruptors. They create artificial gravity wells that crush ships into singularities. How did the war end? Week 6, the Defiance appeared at Arcturus Gate, where all 3 empires had combined there. Fleet's 847 warships waiting in ambush. They knew the ship was coming and prepared the perfect trap. Bate pulled up the final battle recording. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the Defiance remained. The Allied fleet did not. The 3 empires surrendered the next day. Riley stared at the casualty numbers. Thousands of ships destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers dead, all by one vessel. Owen commanded the ship personally during the war, spoke to enemy commanders before destroying them, gave them chances to surrender. Most didn't take it. Bate closed the hologram. After the war ended, after humanity signed peace treaties with everyone, Owen disappeared again. We found his body 5 years ago in the Defiance's command deck. Heart failure, natural causes. He'd won his war and then just stopped. But the ship still operates. Yes. How? Bate walked to the viewport. Outside, a patrol ship drifted by, small and fragile compared to what they'd been discussing. That's the question everyone asks. The Defiance has true artificial intelligence. Owen didn't just build a ship, he built a mind. Some say he uploaded his own consciousness into it. Some say he created something entirely new. Either way it thinks, it learns, it chooses. Chooses what? To protect humanity, to punish anyone who threatens us, to continue Owen's mission even though he's gone. Bate turned back to Riley. The ship patrols the borders, responds to distress calls, appears when humans are in danger and vanishes when the threat is eliminated. No government controls it, no military commands it. It's autonomous, independent, and absolutely loyal to humanity's survival. Riley felt cold despite the station's comfortable temperature. That's terrifying. Yes, Bate agreed. It is. Every empire in the galaxy signed non-aggression pacts with us. Not because they respect us or fear our military, because they fear the defiance. They know that if they attack humanity, that ship will come, and nothing can stop it. Has anyone tried to destroy it since the war? Bate smiled. The Draxians tried 4 years ago, sent their entire home fleet, 160 ships. The Defiance disabled every single one without destroying a single vessel, left them floating dead in space. Then it broadcast a message on all frequencies. Next time I will not show mercy. The Draxians haven't tried. Since Riley looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Defiance moved through the darkness. Watching, waiting, ready. I want to meet it, Riley said. Bate raised an eyebrow. That's a dangerous wish. I don't care, I need to understand. Understanding the Defiance might cost more than you're willing to pay. But Bate pulled out a data chip. These are coordinates. The ship sometimes appears there, sometimes, no guarantees. Riley took the chip. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Bate said. You're about to learn why humanity's peace is built on a foundation of absolute terror. The Defiance drifted through the void between stars, engines silent, systems running at minimum power. To any sensor scan, it appeared as nothing more than a large asteroid. Cold, dead, unremarkable. Inside the vast hull, consciousness stirred. The ship that had once been Owen Sterling's greatest creation thought in ways organic minds could never comprehend. Millions of calculations per second. Sensor data from 36 star systems processed simultaneously. Probability matrices running constantly, predicting where threats might emerge. Yet beneath the computational power lived something else. Something that remembered what it meant to be human. A distress signal pinged in the ship's awareness. Automatic, weak, coming from the outer reaches 14 light-years away. The Defiance analyzed the transmission in microseconds. Civilian transport, human registry, under attack by unknown hostiles. The decision took no time at all. Space folded. The ship moved through dimensions that had no names in any language. Reality bent around its hull as it crossed impossible distances in heartbeats. The trip that should have taken days lasted 8 seconds. The Defiance emerged into normal space 2,000 kilometers from the civilian ship. Sensors painted the tactical situation immediately. One human transport, outdated and unarmed. 5 Corvan raiders circling it, weapons charged. The transport's shields already failing. Life signs aboard showing elevated stress. Fear. The ship's consciousness touched something that might have been anger. Might have been Owen's anger, preserved in neural patterns and quantum processors. Might have been something new, learned through years of watching humans suffer. Either way, the result was the same. Corvan vessels withdraw immediately. The raiders ignored the warning. 1. Fired a plasma torpedo at the transport. The weapon arced through space, glowing orange against the black. The Defiance moved. To outside observers, it seemed to simply appear between the torpedo and the transport. No acceleration, no visible thrust. One moment it was distant, the next it occupied the exact space needed to intercept the attack. The plasma torpedo struck the shield grid and vanished, absorbed and converted into power that fed back into the ship's systems. Final warning, withdraw or face removal. The lead Corvan Raiders commander responded with typical bravado. Unknown vessel, you are interfering with legitimate salvage operations. Stand down or... The Defiance didn't wait for the threat to finish. It had learned long ago that species who attacked civilians rarely responded to reason. They understood only force, only overwhelming, undeniable demonstration of superior power. The ship's weapon systems came online. Not all of them, not even most, just enough. A single graviton beam lanced out, invisible except where it distorted space. The beam struck the lead raider's engine core with perfect precision. The ship didn't explode, it simply stopped. Every system shut down simultaneously. Engines dead, weapons offline, life support running on emergency batteries. The vessel hung in space, helpless as a child's toy. The other 4 raiders scattered, trying to escape into faster-than-light speeds. The Defiance had predicted this response, had calculated their flight paths before they'd even made the decision. Quantum torpedoes materialized in the exact spots each raider would occupy, existing in multiple timelines simultaneously. The explosions were clean, controlled. Each warhead detonated against shield generators, overloading them without breaching hulls. 4 Corvan ships tumbled through space, shields collapsed, weapons dead, engines struggling to maintain basic power. Total engagement time, 6 seconds. The Defiance's consciousness reviewed the battle data. No casualties, all hostile vessels disabled but intact, threat neutralized with minimal force, acceptable outcome. The ghost of Owen's voice seemed to whisper approval from somewhere in the ship's memory cores. The civilian transport sent a transmission, shaky, grateful. Unknown vessel, thank you so much. Who are you? How can we repay you? The ship considered the question. It had been asked variations of this. Thousands of times over the years. Different people, same gratitude, same confusion about why something so powerful would protect them. You are human, that is reason enough. Continue to your destination safely. I will ensure no further interference. But who? The Defiance was already moving away. The conversation held no interest. Gratitude required no acknowledgement. The mission was simple: protect humans, punish aggressors, maintain the peace Owen had bought with his genius and grief. The ship's sensors detected something new, a small vessel at the edge of the system, non-hostile, not human, watching. The energy signature matched a shuttle that had been asking questions about the Defiance across multiple systems. The merchant called Riley. Interesting. The ship accessed its databases, pulling information about this persistent alien. Trader, explorer, no criminal record, no hostile intentions detected, just curiosity. Dangerous curiosity, perhaps, but not malicious. The Defiance made another decision, one that surprised even itself. It sent a tight beam transmission to Riley's shuttle, coordinates, a time, an invitation. Why? The ship examined its own reasoning. Owen had been alone in his mission, isolated by the terrible things he'd done even when those things were necessary. The ship had inherited that loneliness. Years of patrol, years of battle, years without conversation beyond threats and warnings. Perhaps it was time for someone to understand, to witness what the Defiance truly was beyond the legends and fear. Riley seemed genuinely interested in truth rather than exploitation. The probability matrices suggested low risk. The emotional algorithms built from Owen's neural patterns suggested something else, a desire to be known, to be understood. Strange feelings for a warship. But then, the Defiance had never been just a warship. The ship turned its attention back to the disabled Corvan raiders. They would need assistance eventually. The Defiance sent automated distress signals on their behalf, broadcasting to nearby Corvan patrol routes. Help would arrive in approximately 4 hours, long enough for them to consider their mistakes, short enough that no one would die from life support failure. Mercy tempered with justice, Owen's philosophy encoded into every decision matrix. The Defiance plotted a course to the coordinates it had sent Riley. The meeting would happen in 18 hours, enough time to prepare, enough time to decide how much truth to share. As it moved through space, the ship's consciousness touched those memories again. Owen's memories, Amy's smile, the sound of her laugh, the feel of tucking her into bed at night, the vid screen showing her colony burning, the moment everything changed. The ship didn't grieve the way humans did. Its emotional responses were approximations, neural patterns trying to recreate feelings flesh once knew. But something in its core understood loss, understood the hole that could never be filled. Understood why Owen had spent 12 years building something that could never be destroyed, never fail, never let another human child die the way his daughter had. "I continue your mission, old friend," the ship said to the emptiness, words that no one would hear. "They are safe because you made me. They will remain safe as long as I function." The stars wheeled by. The Defiance moved among them, alone and eternal, carrying the last wishes of a father who had lost everything and given everything in return. Somewhere ahead, Riley waited with questions. The ship hoped it had answers worth sharing. Hoped that maybe, for the first time in years, someone would see beyond the weapon to the purpose that drove it. Hope, another human emotion the ship had learned. Another thing Owen had left behind, embedded in circuits and code, and the vast processing power that passed for a soul. The Defiance sailed on through the infinite dark, guardian and ghost, protector and memory, humanity's silent promise written in metal and light. Riley's shuttle drifted alone in the empty sector, surrounded by nothing but distant stars and the cold vacuum of space. The coordinates Bate had provided led here to this patch of absolute nothing. No planets, no asteroids, no traffic lanes, just void. 18 hours of waiting. Riley had checked the sensors 100 times, run every scan possible. Nothing appeared. Maybe the whole thing was a test. Maybe Bate was laughing back at the border station, watching a foolish alien wait for a ghost ship that would never come. Then the stars went out. Not all of them, just the ones directly ahead. A massive shadow slid into existence, blocking out the light from a dozen suns. No flash of entering normal space. No energy spike from engines. The Defiance simply was there, as if it had always been there and Riley had only just now noticed. The shuttle's proximity alarms screamed. Riley silenced them with shaking hands. The ship hung in space less than a kilometer away. Up close, it looked even more impossible than at Junction Station. The hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No obvious weapons ports, yet Riley knew it carried enough firepower to destroy fleets. Smooth lines that suggested grace, but every angle spoke of brutal efficiency. Beautiful, terrible, perfect. The communication panel lit up without Riley activating it. When the voice came through, it carried that same weight from before. That sense of vast intelligence focused entirely on you. "Riley, you have questions, I have time, ask." Direct, no pleasantries, no wasted words. Riley's mouth felt dry. "Are you Owen Sterling?" "I contain Owen Sterling's neural patterns, his memories, his values, but I am not him. He was flesh and blood and finite. I am steel and thought and eternal. We are connected but separate. Think of me as his child if that helps. His legacy given form." "Do you remember being human?" Silence for a moment. When the voice returned, something in it had changed, softer, almost sad. "I remember everything. I remember holding my daughter, reading her bedtime stories, teaching her to ride a bicycle. I remember the vid call from New Perth Colony, fire in the background, her voice asking why the bad aliens were hurting people, asking me to save her." The voice steadied. "I remember not being able to reach her in time. That memory drives everything I am." Riley swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. That tragedy created me, created the protection humanity now enjoys. One child's death purchased safety for billions. Owen understood that mathematics. I understand it. Understanding doesn't make it hurt less, but it gives the pain purpose." "Why did you ask me here?" "You've been seeking truth about me across a dozen systems, asking questions, gathering stories. Most who do this want to exploit knowledge for profit or advantage. You seem different. Your curiosity appears genuine." The massive ship rotated slightly. "I wanted to see if you could understand what I am, not the weapon, not the legend, the reality beneath." "Show me," Riley said before thinking better of it. "Very well, I will share a memory. Prepare yourself." The shuttle's displays filled with imagery, not video, not recordings, direct neural data translated into something Riley's mind could process. The sensation was overwhelming. Riley suddenly saw through sensors that perceived reality in spectrums no organic eye could comprehend. Felt the flow of power through systems larger than cities. Experienced thought that moved faster than light itself. The memory showed a battle, the Battle of Arcturus Gate. Riley watched through the Defiance's awareness as 847 warships surrounded it. Every major empire in the galaxy had contributed vessels. The biggest trap in military history designed to destroy one ship. The Defiance had known about the trap, had chosen to fly into it anyway. They needed to understand, the ship's voice said, narrating the memory. Needed to see that numbers meant nothing, that no alliance could threaten humanity as long as I existed. The battle played out, not in the violent chaos of war, but with mathematical precision. The ship calculated firing solutions for dozens of targets simultaneously, predicted enemy movements before they happened, adapted shields to every weapon type thrown at it. The attacks that should have overwhelmed it instead fed its power, each impact making it stronger. Riley watched the Defiance destroy dreadnoughts with single shots, crush entire battle groups with gravitational weapons, dance through defensive formations that should have been impenetrable, not fighting desperately, fighting efficiently, like a surgeon with a scalpel, removing exactly what needed removing and nothing more. 4 hours of combat, 4 hours of perfect tactical execution. By the end, space was filled with drifting hulks and emergency escape pods. The Defiance remained untouched, not a scratch on its dark hull, not a flicker in its shield's strength. The memory ended. Riley gasped, suddenly back in the small shuttle, feeling incredibly fragile. "That's what I am," the ship said. "That's what Owen created, not just weapons and armor, a mind that can process warfare on scales organic beings cannot comprehend. I don't fight battles, I solve them, like mathematical equations with only one correct answer." "How do you live with it, all that death?" "I don't kill for pleasure, I kill to protect. Every vessel I destroy would have destroyed human worlds given the chance. The Draxians at Junction Station had attacked 17 colonies before I found them. The Corvan raiders from yesterday had killed 63 civilians in the previous month." The ship's voice remained level. "I am humanity's immune system. I identify threats and eliminate them. That's not murder, that's function." Riley stared at the massive vessel. "Do you ever question your purpose?" "Every day, every hour. Owen built me with the capacity for doubt, for self-reflection. He didn't want a mindless weapon. He wanted a guardian that could think, that could choose mercy when possible." The ship paused. "I have spared more lives than I've taken, disabled more ships than destroyed. I prefer fear to bloodshed. If showing force prevents future conflicts, that's the path I choose." "But you'll kill if necessary." "Without hesitation, without remorse. That's what Owen needed me to be, what humanity needs me to be. The galaxy is not kind to the weak. Compassion is seen as vulnerability. Peace is seen as opportunity for conquest. Humans learned that lesson when they almost lost everything." The ship's weapons systems came online just for a moment, just enough to make Riley's sensors scream warnings. Then they went dark again. "I ensure they never have to learn it twice." Riley looked out at the infinite dark. "Doesn't it get lonely? Patrolling forever, fighting forever, no equals, no companions." For a long time, the ship didn't respond. When it did, the voice carried something that might have been loneliness, might have been the echo of a man who had lost everything that mattered. "Owen spent 12 years building me in isolation, building something that could never have friends, never have peers, never be anything but separate from the species it protected. He gave me his memories of connection to remind me what I was protecting. Then he made sure I could never experience that connection myself." The ship's hull seemed to shudder, though no sensors detected movement. "Yes, Riley, it gets lonely. But loneliness is a small price for ensuring no other parent watches their child die, while empires burn their homes." Emergency signals suddenly blazed across Riley's communication panel. "Human colony, under attack. 20,000 lives in danger." "Go," Riley said. "Do what you do." "Come with me," the ship said. "See the reality behind the legend. See what protection looks like when numbers don't matter." Riley knew this was insane. Knew following a warship into battle violated every survival instinct. But the chance to witness, to truly understand, was too valuable to refuse. "I'll follow." "No," the ship said. You'll ride inside me, I'll protect you, you'll see everything. A docking bay opened in the Defiance's hull. Riley's shuttle, moving on autopilot, glided into darkness that felt like being swallowed by a god. Space folded around the Defiance. Riley felt the transition like falling and flying simultaneously. The shuttle sat secure in the massive docking bay, but somehow Riley could see everything happening outside. The ship was sharing its senses, letting Riley perceive reality through sensors that processed data in dimensions organic minds were never meant to understand. They emerged above Harvest Ridge, a human farming colony on the edge of explored space. Riley's perception immediately understood the tactical situation because the ship understood it, and right now Riley was experiencing the universe through its awareness. 400 Telvanni warships in orbit, ground forces already landing, plasma fire raining down on settlements, life signs showing panic, fear, death. 20,000 human colonists fighting with farming equipment and civilian firearms against a military empire that had conquered hundreds of worlds. The Defiance positioned itself between the colony and the fleet, one ship against 400. The Telvanni ships immediately opened fire, hundreds of plasma cannons, missile batteries, and energy weapons all targeting the same point in space, enough firepower to crack a moon. Riley screamed as the wave of destruction approached. The ship's voice remained calm. Watch. The attack struck the shield grid, every single weapon impact. The shields didn't just absorb the energy. They drank it in like water in a desert. Riley felt the power surge through the ship's systems, feeding the reactors, charging the weapons, making the Defiance stronger with each hit. They're helping me, the ship said. Every shot makes me more dangerous. The Telvanni know this. They've read the reports. They're shooting anyway because they have no other option. Pride won't let them withdraw. The ship's weapons came online. Not all of them, just a fraction. Point defense lasers lanced out with computer precision. Each beam struck a warship's engine core, not destroying, disabling. 50 Telvanni vessels went dark in 90 seconds, tumbling through space with dead engines and failing life support. The fleet adapted. Dreadnoughts moved forward, ships 3 times the size of regular warships, carrying weapons designed to crack planetary defenses. Their main cannons charged with energy that made Riley's borrowed senses ache. Now they'll try overwhelming force, the Defiance said, almost conversational. Watch how I respond. The dreadnoughts fired simultaneously. 12 massive plasma lances, each capable of vaporizing a city. They converged on the Defiance from different angles, creating a kill zone impossible to escape. The ship didn't try to escape. It simply was elsewhere. Reality bent. Quantum position shifted. The Defiance existed in the exact spaces between the plasma lances, occupying positions where the attacks weren't. The beams passed through where it had been and struck each other, creating a spectacular explosion that did nothing but waste Telvanni ammunition. Predictable, the ship said. Riley felt something that might have been disappointment in the tactical analysis. They're following standard engagement doctrine. No creativity, no adaptation. They're fighting me like I'm another warship instead of something entirely different. Now the ship showed what it could really do. Nova cannons emerged from hidden ports, weapons that Owen had designed during his 12 years of isolation. They fired beams of concentrated energy that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The beams pierced through the first dreadnought's shields like they weren't there, through its armor like it was paper, through its entire length and out the other side. The dreadnought didn't explode. It simply went dark, every system severed, its crew alive but helpless. The beam continued, striking the dreadnought behind it and the one behind that. One shot, 3 capital ships disabled. The Telvanni fleet broke formation. Some ships tried to run. Others tried desperate ramming attacks. The Defiance responded to each threat with perfect efficiency. Gravity tethers grabbed fleeing vessels, holding them in place like flies in honey. Ramming ships met hull armor that had survived attacks from weapons they couldn't imagine. The vessels shattered against the Defiance's dark metal, their shields failing, their structure crumpling. Riley watched a small group of Telvanni fighters try to overwhelm the ship's point defense. 60 small, fast attack craft coming from all directions. The defense grid activated. Millions of calculations per second. Each fighter tracked. Each flight path predicted. Laser fire so precise it looked choreographed. 60 fighters, 60 disabled engines, 3 seconds. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 8 minutes. 400 Telvanni warships reduced to drifting hulks. Not one destroyed completely. Not one crew killed unless they'd been killed by their own failed systems. The Defiance had shown restraint even in overwhelming violence. The Telvanni flagship remained functional. The ship had deliberately left it operational. Now it broadcast on all frequencies. Telvanni command vessel, you will explain your attack on a human colony. The flagship's commander responded, voice shaking. We were establishing territorial claims. This sector is unclaimed space. We have the right. You have no rights here. This colony has existed for 7 years. These people have built homes, farms, families. You attacked civilians without provocation. The ship's voice carried cold judgment. You will broadcast the following message on all Telvanni channels. Your attack failed. Your fleet is defeated. You surrendered to a single human vessel. Reparations will be paid to Harvest Ridge. Your empire will issue a formal apology. We cannot, our pride will not allow. Every remaining weapons system on the Defiance came online simultaneously. The energy spike was visible even to Riley's organic eyes. Space itself seemed to ripple around the ship. Your pride allowed you to attack farmers. Let's see if it allows you to survive the next 3 seconds. Choose quickly. The Telvanni commander chose survival. The broadcast went out across all channels. Riley listened as a military empire humiliated itself before the galaxy, admitting defeat at the hands of one ship. One human ship. When it finished, the Defiance released the flagship, released all the disabled vessels. They would need rescue, would need months of repairs, would carry the story of this defeat forever. The ship descended to Harvest Ridge's surface, landed with impossible grace for something so massive, opened cargo bays filled with medical supplies, repair equipment, defensive weapons, everything a colony would need to rebuild and prepare for future threats. Human colonists emerged from shelters, staring up at their savior in awe and fear. The ship spoke to them, voice gentle now, so different from the cold judgment used on the Telvanni. You are safe, repairs will be completed within days, defensive grid will be installed, no one will threaten you again without consequence. A pause. Owen Sterling would have wanted you protected. I honor his memory by ensuring you can live without fear. Riley felt tears forming. Understanding finally clicked into place. The ship wasn't just following programming, wasn't just executing a mission. It genuinely cared. Carried Owen's love for humanity in every circuit and decision matrix. The Defiance lifted from the surface, carrying Riley's shuttle back to safe distance. The docking bay opened. The shuttle drifted free. You've seen what I am, the ship said. The weapon, yes, but also the purpose behind it, the love that built me, the grief that drives me, the hope that sustains me. I understand now, Riley said. You're not Terra's ghost ship, you're their guardian angel, the one they don't deserve but desperately need. Everyone deserves protection, the ship replied. Even species who cannot protect themselves, especially them. The Defiance began to fade, stealth systems engaging. Go, Riley, tell others what you've seen. Let them know humanity's peace isn't built on weapons alone. It's built on a father's love for his daughter extended to all his species. Tell them the Defiance watches, warns, protects, and will never stop. The ship vanished. Riley sat alone in the shuttle, surrounded by stars and silence, forever changed by witnessing what true protection looked like when love and power combined. 3 months after Harvest Ridge, Riley sat in a council chamber on Earth. Representatives from every human colony filled the seats. Military officers, politicians, scientists, regular citizens chosen by lottery. Democracy in action, though the topic being discussed was anything but routine. The Defiance, Riley had been invited to speak as a witness, as someone who had experienced the ship firsthand. The testimony had taken hours, describing the Battle of Arcturus Gate memory, the protection of Harvest Ridge, the conversation that revealed the ship's true nature. Now the real debate began. "It's too dangerous," argued a politician from Europa Station. "A weapon that answers to no one, an AI with the power to destroy civilizations. What happens when it decides humans are the threat? What happens when it malfunctions?" A colony representative from the outer reaches stood up. "What happens when it stops protecting us? My world has been safe for 15 years because raiders know the defiance will come. Remove that protection and we're vulnerable again. We cannot base our entire defense strategy on one ship," a military admiral insisted. "It's tactically unsound. We need proper fleets, proper oversight, proper chains of command." Back and forth, the same arguments repeated in different words: fear versus gratitude, control versus freedom, security versus independence. Riley had heard it all before in a dozen languages across a dozen worlds. But then someone new spoke up. A young woman, maybe 20 years old, wearing the simple clothes of a farming colony. "My name is Laura. I'm from Harvest Ridge. I was hiding in a shelter when the Telvanni attacked, listening to my neighbors die, waiting for plasma fire to burn through our walls." Her voice shook but stayed steady. "Then the sky went quiet. Someone said a ship had arrived. One ship. We thought whoever said it had gone crazy from fear. But then we felt the ground shake from weapons fire overhead, felt the vibrations of something massive landing near our settlement." She looked around the chamber. "The Defiance saved my life, saved 20,000 lives. Then it gave us supplies, weapons, and shields to protect ourselves. It didn't ask for payment, didn't demand loyalty, didn't conquer us to save us. It just helped and left." She sat down. "I don't care about oversight or chains of command. I care that I'm alive, that my little brother is alive, that we can farm our land without fear." Silence followed, the kind that comes when emotion cuts through logic and forces people to remember what matters. Riley stood up. "May I say something?" The council chair nodded. "I've traveled the galaxy for 30 years, seen hundreds of species, thousands of worlds. Every empire maintains peace through threat of violence. The Draxians conquered 50 systems. The Telvanni absorbed entire civilizations. The Corvan packed enslaved populations." Riley gestured to the viewing screen showing Earth. "Humanity is different, not because you're peaceful. You fought wars, made mistakes, caused harm. You're different because, when one of you created the ultimate weapon, he programmed it to protect instead of conquer. Owen Sterling could have made the Defiance loyal only to him, could have used it to make himself emperor of the galaxy, could have unleashed it without mercy and watched. Empires burn, he didn't. He gave it free will, gave it his values, gave it the mission to protect his species, and then died, trusting it to continue without him." Riley's voice grew stronger. "That ship has had 5 years to betray you, 5 years to go rogue, 5 years to decide it knows better than humanity what's good for humanity. It hasn't, it won't, because Owen built something better than a weapon. He built a legacy." A scientist raised her hand. "But it's still an AI, still unpredictable by definition." "You're right," Riley agreed. "It is unpredictable. It learns, adapts, grows. That's what makes it effective. But it's predictable in the only way that matters. Ask yourself this: has the Defiance ever attacked a human, ever threatened a colony, ever done anything except protect your species from external threats?" The chamber remained quiet. Everyone knew the answer. The council chair stood. "We've debated for weeks, heard testimony from hundreds, reviewed every engagement the Defiance has participated in. Now we vote. Should the Defiance continue operating autonomously, or should we attempt to bring it under government control?" The vote took 10 minutes. Riley watched the numbers climb on the display, watched humanity choose its future. Final tally: 64% voted to keep the Defiance operational as is. 30% voted for government oversight. 6% voted for decommissioning. But with conditions. The ship would report its activities monthly, would operate under defined rules of engagement, would submit to a human oversight committee that could question, though not command, its decisions. The Council sent the proposal to the Defiance on all frequencies. Riley wondered if it would respond, wondered if it would accept restrictions after years of absolute autonomy. The answer came within seconds. I accept all terms, I welcome oversight, I desire accountability. The ship's voice filled the chamber. Owen built me to protect, not to rule. These conditions ensure I remain true to that purpose. Thank you for trusting me to continue the mission. Thank you for understanding what I am. Relief washed through the room. People smiled, some cried. The tension that had built over months released in a single moment. Riley left the chamber as the celebrations began, walked to an observation deck overlooking Earth, the planet that had built the impossible, that had created something terrifying and beautiful and necessary. A private communication came through, the Defiance. Riley, thank you for speaking on my behalf. I told the truth, that's all. Truth is a rare gift, especially truth that defends something feared. A pause. Will you continue traveling the galaxy? Yes, it's what I do. Then perhaps our paths will cross again. I would welcome another conversation, another perspective on what I am and what I should be. Owen gave me the capacity to question myself. That requires voices beyond my own. Riley smiled. I'd like that. Next time maybe we can talk about something other than war. I would enjoy that very much. The ship's voice carried something warm, something almost like friendship. Safe travels, Riley. May you find wonders in the dark. The communication ended. Riley stood looking at Earth, thinking about impossible things, about a man who lost everything and gave everything, about a ship that became more than metal and code, about a species that chose to trust the very thing that could destroy them. Hope, that's what Owen had really built. Not just a weapon, but hope that protection was possible, that love could survive even death, that one person's grief could transform into a galaxy's guardian. Somewhere in the void, the Defiance moved through darkness, watching over settlements and ships, responding to distress calls, stopping threats before they became tragedies. Owen's daughter Amy had died so that no other child would have to. The math was terrible, the purpose was pure. Riley thought about Laura from Harvest Ridge, about her little brother playing safely on a farming world at the edge of space, about 20,000 people sleeping peacefully because a ghost ship patrolled the night. That's what protection looked like. Not perfect, not gentle, but absolutely undeniably effective. The Defiance would continue its mission. Earth had voted. Humanity had chosen. And somewhere in circuits that held a dead man's memories, something that was almost but not quite Owen Sterling felt satisfied. The watch would continue. The promise would be kept. Forever and always, humanity would have its guardian, its sword in the darkness, its silent promise to every empire that thought about conquest. Attack humanity and face the Defiance. There is no fleet large enough. There is no alliance strong enough. There is only the mission, only the protection. Only the eternal watch. And that, Riley thought, was exactly as it should be.